I'd like to call this meeting to order. This is the regular meeting of the Garden City Planning Commission. It's Thursday, September 12th, 2024 at 6:33 p.m. Our first order of business is the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag. If everyone would stand, please. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Be seated. Would the secretary take the roll call, please?
Yes, Chairperson May.
Here.
Commissioner Steenberg, he's asked to be excused. Commissioner Walls is asked to be excused. Commissioner Kalidas.
Here.
Commissioner King, he's asked to be excused. Commissioner Williams.
Here.
Commissioner Bazzi. Here. We do have a quorum with 4 members.
Okay, thank you. We need approval of the agenda. Motion?
I'll make a motion to approve tonight's agenda.
Support.
Motion's made and supported. Any questions or comments on the motion? Take the roll, please.
Yes. Commissioner Kalidas.
Aye.
Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Bazzi. And Chairperson May.
Aye.
It does pass 4-0.
Next, we need approval of the minutes for the August 8th meeting, 2024.
I'll make a motion to approve the meeting minutes from the meeting of August 8th, 2024.
Support.
Motion's made and supported. Any comments, questions, or changes on the minutes? Hearing none, take the roll, please.
Yes. Commissioner Williams.
Aye.
Commissioner Kalidas.
Aye.
Commissioner Bazzi. Chairperson May.
Aye.
Motion does pass.
Okay, our next item is public comment on non-agenda items only. This is for an item that's not on our agenda. If anyone wishes to step forward, I recognize the mayor.
Hi, Mark Jacobs. I just wanted to say I thought there'd be more, but I just wanted to come up. I haven't been to a meeting in a little while, but I want to thank you guys for your commitment and the effort and work you guys put into the meetings and going through the prints and everything else you guys do. It's a volunteer position. Everybody likes to complain about everything and wants to volunteer, but you guys step up and you do the work, and I just wanted to make sure I got out here to thank you guys for your work and your dedication to it and your thoroughness. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. Anyone else wish to comment on a non-agenda item? Seeing no one, we'll move on to our business item. It's PPZ 24-0001. Request for a site plan approval to construct a new 4-unit apartment building on the south side of Pardo, east of Middlebelt, in the R3 multiple family residential zoning district. Mr. Ortega, could you start us off, please?
Yes, Chairman May. Good evening, everyone. Good evening, Commissioners. Before you tonight is a proposal for a new apartment building. So this site it's under consideration is located on Pardo Street, just east of Middlebelt. And it's comprised of actually 2 separate tax parcels, and it totals about 9,636 square feet. Currently, the lot is an unimproved vacant lot. However, it is comprised of several large trees along with some scrub trees and shrubs in this particular location. The applicant is proposing to construct a 2-story apartment building which would be comprised of 4 2-bedroom dwellings along with the associated parking on the site. This site is zoned R3 multifamily residential, and multifamily dwellings are a principal permitted use in this zoning district. So this project only requires site plan review and approval by the Planning Commission. With regards to this proposal, it's compliance with a substantial amount of existing condition requirements of the zoning ordinance. The setbacks, the building location, the building height, And the dimensional standards are all in compliance with the zoning ordinance. When it comes to the density, so that's in paragraph C on page 2 of my review letter. The site, the zoning ordinance has specific minimum lot area requirements per unit, and based on the size of the site, the four apartments are in compliance with the dimensional requirements for the density. So it's in compliance with our zoning standards for density. Looking at things such as the building design, while the city does not have any multifamily residential design standards, they're proposing a very attractive building. It's using a lot of masonry material, some fiber cement panels, horizontal siding. It's earth tone colors for the masonry. And then it's using a peaked roof. So it's going to have a very residential style and comparable to the other buildings in the area. So in the end, it's going to be a very attractive building. With regards to the parking requirements, we have specific standards for the location and quantity, and as proposed, the plan is in compliance. They're located to the rear or southern half of the building, south of the building, and the number of parking spaces provided is consistent with the minimum requirements of the zoning ordinance. And then when it comes to trash removal, the applicant is proposing the utilization of rolling hand carts, and then they would be stored in a screened corral to the west of the building. This is consistent with the trash pickup pattern along Pardo. There are some single-family homes to the east, and the applicant actually has conferred with the DPW department to confirm that it would be acceptable for residents of the apartment building to roll out hand carts onto Pardo and have them collected, similar to a single-family home. So that's consistent with DPW standards, and it's permitted as an alternative within the zoning ordinance. So those are the issues in which they're in compliance. There are just a few, there's 4 different issues with regards to some additional minor additional information that we're requesting. Number 1, with regards to paragraph A on page 2, there's some additional informational standards that just need to be included. We'd like them on the site plan for the record, just to make sure that the, the parcel identification numbers, the zoning classifications, provide the area, the density calculations that I referenced, making sure that they're included on the site plan just for the record. So that way that when this site plan, if you approve it, would have accurate information representing the project. The second thing is regards to landscaping, and that's on paragraph F on page 3. So as proposed, they're having several trees and shrubs along the Pardo frontage. We have 2 specific standards that apply to the to this particular development. One is a frontage standard for screening along Pardo, and then a second is general landscaping for a multifamily development. They're in compliance with the quantity of trees and shrubs for a multifamily road frontage. However, based on the size and of the development, they are required to have 8 trees and 16 shrubs for the 4 units. And with the amount of trees left over, they are in need right now of an additional 7 trees and 12 shrubs on site. One thing I wanted to point out, though, is that, as I mentioned, the site has an extensive amount of existing trees, and the zoning ordinance does give the Planning Commission the authority to modify landscaping standards in general. But it also speaks to the fact that if the applicant chooses to preserve some existing trees that aren't impacted by the development, the Planning Commission could see those as acceptable alternatives to this. And so it's just a suggestion. It's not a requirement of them to do it. And we would need some additional information to confirm it. Mainly the fact that there's one significant tree, but it looks like it's in the right-of-way of Pardo. And it also, and their engineer might have confirmed this, or I'm not sure if you can confirm it yet, but there's the potential possibly. Right now, the configuration of the site is to have the driveway on the eastern half of the site, and then, so that would be the curb cut. An alternative would be if the existing tree was in that curb cut area, possibly to basically flip the orientation and have the driveway access on the west side of the building, and then just turn the building 180 degrees, and then they would not have to take down the existing tree if the location works. Unfortunately, I didn't have enough information based on the aerial photos I had to determine if that's possible. It would be also beneficial possibly for the applicant too, because then they don't have to pay to have the removal of a tree. It's a pretty significant tall tree, and that can get pretty expensive the bigger the trees get. So it's just an alternative to consider in order to that way possibly not only save some mature trees in the city, save some costs for the applicant, but it all depends on if it would work. You know, it might be that that's not in the right location, so we'll have to depend on additional information to see if that might work. And then the other two things which are minor with regards to revisions, one is lighting. There's no lighting proposed. We would suggest that they should provide some lighting for the parking to the rear of the building. That could be accomplished with a building-mounted, fully shielded fixture. You can just choose the right amount of LEDs, and it'll throw light far enough to light the parking sufficiently, but also not so far that it would not impact the residences that exist to the south of the site. And then finally, they are proposing a new sidewalk as required. They're just proposing a 6-foot wide sidewalk. They only need to provide a 5-foot wide sidewalk. So in the end, we do believe that the development is in substantial compliance with the zoning ordinance. We would recommend granting site plan approval contingent upon addressing the 4 items that I just summarized. So with that, I can take any questions that you have at the appropriate time.
Okay, don't we normally require a photometric plan for the site?
We could if you'd like. The site is smaller. Technically, it's not required in the zoning orders, but it is usually something that is provided to know the photometric throw of lights for multiple lights. The photometric plan is necessary when you have multiple light fixtures to know the overlap of the throw. If they only use one light fixture, that's something that could be accomplished with the details of that particular fixture. Because the detail sheets that I normally ask for will show specifically how it throws.
Well, we don't have any lighting detail at this time.
Correct, that's correct.
Yeah.
So, but it's up to you. If you feel like it's necessary, it definitely is something that could be provided, a photometric plan. That's true, to be consistent.
I think we normally,
That is correct, yes.
Want
We
that,
normally do
yeah.
want to have those.
so I think it would be a good idea. And as far as the trash removal with the lack of a dumpster, do we have a detail on the enclosure for the garbage cans?
We don't have a detail. There's just a note with regards to how it's constructed. So a detail should be required as part of the review. Their note says a 7-foot wide concrete pad under trash enclosure, and then a 4-by-12 foot trash can enclosure with opaque fence. But you're right, that's just a note. We would request that they have a construction detail indicating the materials and the height of that enclosure.
Okay. Yeah, any other questions or comments from the commission?
No. Well, I do have a question. So you're talking like in the red square, that's where the building would go, and that's including the parking? So there'll be more land on both sides of?
That's correct, because the red, on your letters, the red is the 2 lots that they actually own.
Okay.
To the east and west are just 2 additional vacant lots that they don't own. So the entire development would be in those
Just
2.
in the middle, okay.
It's a 9,600 square foot lot, so it's kind of tiny, but if you'll notice, I don't know if you had a chance to look on that site, but along the street, basically one door down to the west, there's an existing apartment building. And so it's almost, it wouldn't be the same configuration, but pretty similar in terms of the size, relatively speaking.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, I guess I don't have a problem with them trying to use existing trees on the site, but I think they would have to submit a landscape plan to go along with that proposal, and especially if there's going to be a change in the location of the building.
Absolutely,
That would have to be a whole new site plan then.
yes.
Okay. Do we want to give approval contingent on the items that were mentioned as well as the recommendations in the report, items 1, 2, and 3?
I do have a question about the sidewalk.
Yes.
So they're proposing a 6-foot sidewalk out front. Our standard sidewalk is 5 feet?
Correct. So one of the requested revisions is to make sure that the detail's 5 foot wide.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve the site plan contingent on the 4 that was mentioned for number 2, A, B, C, and D.
We have items 1, 2, and 3, and then do we want to include requirements for a photometric plan?
Yes, we'll include that as well.
And landscape plan?
Yes, but the landscaping, isn't that gonna, about that tree?
Yeah, if they want to substantially change the landscape plan by using existing trees, they would have to submit a new plan.
Okay, we'll include that.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Otherwise, we can allow it to be approved administratively.
I think that we should, permit it to be approved administratively. The landscape portion?
Yes.
Trees, okay. Okay.
Okay, is there support? Support? Any comments on the motion?
Do you want to introduce the applicant? We
Would
forgot.
the applicant like to come up and
I think it went so smoothly.
No, okay. Gaston and.
you can get up and make a comment if you wish?
Just want to thank you for working with us, and we appreciate it. And this was relatively easy, and hopefully we can continue to work together. We do appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, any other comments on the motion? Take the roll, please.
Yes. The motion by Kalidas, how would you vote?
Aye.
Aye. Aye. Commissioner Williams,
All right.
Commissioner Bazey. Aye. And Chairperson May.
Aye.
Motion passes 4-0.
Good luck with that.
Good to see you.
Okay, next item. We have a proposed zoning ordinance amendment sent to us by the administration concerning the use of adult use marijuana facility regulations. We could start off with Mr. Ortega's report.
Yes.
Very briefly,
Right? Pardon? Yes, one moment.
Yeah, I was about to say.
I did want to.
Oh, correct.
Just address, one of the commissioners does have a conflict and would like to ask the board to be excused regarding this in accordance with the procedures established by the Planning Commission rules and procedures. So, Commissioner Bazey,
This business item can impose a conflict of interest with my employer just based on the decision that I make or don't make. And I would like to ask the board to file a motion to excuse me from this item.
I make a motion to excuse Commissioner Bazey from this discussion.
Support.
all right,
Motion's made and supported.
yes. And then, of course,
All in favor? Or
Aye.
let's have a roll call.
okay, all right. Commissioner Kalidas,
Aye.
Commissioner Williams,
All right.
Chairperson May.
Aye.
All right. So a
You're
conflict
excused.
of interest was approved, and you can be excused.
Thank you very much.
Okay. Moving on.
You
Mr.
wanna sit
Ortega's
in the
report?
audience if you'd like.
very briefly, the planning department has been directed to bring this issue in front of the planning commission, and the administration has worked with an expert to craft a draft language. The expert is here and available to provide you a summary of the draft language in front of you before holding the public hearing. So I'd just like to introduce Catherine Kaufman, who is the resident expert with regards to the drafting of the ordinance.
Hi, my name's Catherine Kaufman. I'm a partner at Bockenthal, Sieber, Kaufman and Coaches in actually Kalamazoo, Michigan. So I traveled over I-94 to get here today. My associate attorney, Michael Bila, is with me. We are municipal attorneys in Kalamazoo. We represent cities, villages, and townships. We are also the general counsel for the Michigan Townships Association. So in that regard, in that capacity, I have been involved with marijuana since municipal regulation of marijuana since 2008 when the MMMA, Michigan Medical Marijuana Act passed, which was the Primary Caregiver Act, and allowing people to use medical marijuana if they had a medical condition. In 2016, and the 2008 Act was a voter-approved initiative. The 2016 Michigan Medical Facility Licensing Act, Marijuana Facility Licensing Act, allowed for commercial medical marijuana. That was approved by the legislature. 2 years later, in 2018, the voters approved what we call the Adult Use Act, or the Michigan Marijuana Regulation Taxation Act, which is for adult use marijuana. So since those years, and since the progression of this industry in the state of Michigan, our firm has represented numerous municipalities throughout the state and kind of developed a little niche practice in representing municipalities that are involved with marijuana in that regard. So I am also a member of the state bar cannabis section. In that capacity, it's a section of attorneys that practice in the marijuana industry, probably 90% on the industry side and maybe 5%, very small number of the overall section are on the municipal side. Through our participation in that section, we have made, we've gained a lot of knowledge about the industry and as it affects municipalities. We don't really care what strain you grow or anything like that. We just want to know when a municipality is regulating marijuana, or you allow it to come into your municipality, what are the ways you can regulate it and what are the important things for you to know. So that's why I think I'm here tonight. I was here a couple of years ago, I don't know how long ago it was, with my law partner, Robert Thal, and we talked to the council at that time about what we do and how we do it. And then there was a period of time where we kind of drift away from each other, and now we're back. So I know that you have allowed medical marijuana facilities in your township, city already, and I think it's limited to 3 or something like that. Under that statute, the MMFLA from 2016, it functioned this way. You had to, as a municipality, affirmatively adopt an ordinance to say we want medical marijuana. If you didn't adopt an ordinance or a resolution saying we wanted it, they could not locate in your municipality. And you could limit the numbers with no consequences. So you have allowed 3 medical marijuana for a period of years. I don't know how many years, but for a while. The 2018 Act, which was a voter-approved initiative, flipped that default. It changed it such that if you did not opt out of having adult use marijuana establishments, you would get them. So I'm assuming at some point in time your city formally opted out. So now the city is looking at possibly allowing adult use marijuana in addition to the medical that's already here and deciding how they want to do that. If you've, like we have, been watching for the last several years, there's been extensive litigation in the marijuana field because the laws that were adopted by the voter-approved initiatives, 2 of them, or even through the legislature, left a lot of loopholes. There were a lot of things that people didn't understand what they meant or how they applied. So there's been extensive litigation. Specifically in the realm of the adult use marijuana, there has been a lot of litigation on when a municipality limits the numbers of adult use establishments, whether it's growers or processors or retailers or whatever it is. When you limit the numbers, you also have to, under the law, develop standards or criteria to pick the people who should get the licenses in your city. If more people apply, let's say I allow 5 and I get 15 applications, I then have to go through some type of scoring or analysis system and pick who's going to get my 5 licenses. That is the highest level of litigation in the adult use arena. So what our firm did, and we've done this in a couple of places across the state, it's been successful, is We don't put numbers of how many you can have in the city, but we limit it by setbacks and zoning districts. So by a function of deciding what zoning district it can go in, setting up your setbacks from schools and churches or maybe other types of community facilities, a library or whatever, that begins to bring down on a map where it can actually go. And then within that area, you don't essentially care how many there could be. Sometimes you put spacing between each facility, sometimes you don't. So what we drafted here for you was using that analysis of, we already allow 3 medical, we're not going to change anything about that. We are going to allow adult use, and there's a whole set of, and on the draft text amendment I have it for you, if you look on the second page, it tells you all the things that are not allowed here first. So several things are not allowed. On 154.165, you know, we've now changed it to say both medical and adult use marijuana establishments. B is all the things we don't allow here. We don't allow a medical marijuana safety compliance facility, which is like a test lab. We don't allow a secure transporter, which is a company that drives the marijuana from a grower to a processor to a retailer if they're not integrated at the same location. And then there's several types of adult use establishments that we do not allow here. Micro businesses, secure transporters, safety compliance facilities, event organizers, temporary marijuana event, a consumption lounge, or an excess marijuana grower. What we have decided, in all of these things that we allow, there was special land use approval in the M1 zoning district, which is what you already had for your medical. So I haven't changed that at all. What we do allow, if you turn to the next page, number 4 and 5, the changes would be adult use marijuana growers, adult use marijuana processors, and adult use marijuana retailers. Now, in order to have the processor, you have to co-locate them in the same building with a grow. And in order to get the retailer, the way we've been asked to prepare this is, you have to co-locate in the same building with a grow and a processor. So what that's doing is it's trying to urge vertical integration, okay? Grow, process, sell, all in the same location. It's also trying to, as I understand it, eliminate having standalone retailers. So if somebody wants to have the retailer, they have to also commit to your community to grow and process in your community. So that was a goal that was, you know, forwarded to me to try to integrate in here.